Hello everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 24. Before we begin this week's podcast, I just wanted to say really quickly that I don't know how many of you who listen to this podcast also check out my YouTube channel, Wannabe Reviewer, but I guess for any of you who don't know, not only do I do this podcast, which is now on all sorts of platforms such as Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, all those platforms, but I also run a YouTube channel where I do all sorts of reviews on different media. Usually every Wednesday, I try to post a video either on some sort of like anime, video game, movie, TV show, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, I was not able to post a video this week. Wednesday came and went. Some of you who check out my channel probably wondering where my upload was. Unfortunately, the last couple of weeks I had just been really swamped with work, and that really, slowed my creative process down, I guess you can say. I wasn't able to get to script writing and editing and all that sort of stuff. But the video, it's not that it's missing or it's not that I'm not going to do it. It is getting worked on, but it's just late. All right. So, it remains to be seen when it comes out. But just want to throw that out there for any of you guys who follow my YouTube channel that the video is coming, though it is late, obviously. So the video should be coming. It's a movie review. Like I said, hopefully keep an eye out. Hopefully it's coming soon, all right? So, yeah. With that being said, though, I guess I should transfer over to my week. And I didn't do too much, honestly. Not as much things to talk about as other weeks. But, there's still some stuff I do want to mention, so let's dive in. For any of you who have checked out the podcast the last couple of weeks, I've mentioned that I've been reading Komi-san Can't Communicate, and I've mentioned that I really want to try to, get caught up with it, because it's not over, it is an ongoing series, so obviously I can't finish it, but I do want to catch up to the latest chapter, which was chapter 185. And yeah, like I said, I really want to catch up before I move on to another project, and I'm just, happy to announce that I actually caught up, and I enjoyed it, I think it's really funny. I think it's really entertaining. I think the characters are really fun. I think the little romance that's going on is really cute, and I recommend it, Had lots of fun with it. And yeah, the bad thing is that because I'm caught up, now I'm going to have to wait for more manga chapters to come out, which that's going to suck. That's going to take a lot of patience, but it is what it is. I'm caught up. So if anyone has more questions about the manga, where to read it, or questions, or, anything you want to discuss about it, you can talk to me about it now, because I am caught up to the latest chapter. So yeah. Going off of that, now that I'm caught up with Komi-san Can't Communicate, I really wanted to wait until I finished that one before I jumped onto something else. And originally I had been planning to go from Komi-san Can't Communicate to one of the manga that I have in my, I guess you can call it backlog, But unfortunately, a lot of those are also ongoing, or the ones that aren't ongoing are just really long. I didn't really want to dive into that quite yet. So I looked at my list of manga that I've been meaning to read, and I noticed that there's one that is both completed and pretty short. I believe it's only 65 chapters. So I decided to tackle that next. And so the manga that I read after I finished Komi-san Can't Communicate, I started Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. And Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, honestly, I don't know what to think about it yet. It's just really weird. And I guess I'm not deep in enough to really know quite all the details yet. But basically, there's this really antisocial 20-year-old college student. And one day he wakes up, in his apartment, and there's this lizard that's talking to him. And the lizard says that he's the lizard knight Sir Noi Crescent, something like that. And, he tells him, the world is in danger. I need you to help me and team up with, the princess to, destroy the evil that's going to destroy the world or whatever. And of course, our main character, he basically thinks that he's imagining it, or he's going crazy. He doesn't really know what to expect. But, he grabs the lizard, throws it out his window. Lizard keeps coming back. He's kind of pissed about this lizard bothering him, and he wants nothing to do with this save the world thing. But eventually, after being followed by the lizard, he's trying to pressure him into helping him. He gets attacked by this rock golem looking thing, and this girl saves him. And he recognizes her because she's his next door neighbor. And apparently she's the so-called princess that the lizard has said that he needs to team up with. And so, first of all, he's just impressed because she totally demolishes the golem thing, right? So he feels really grateful that she saved his life. But then, in kind of like a twist, even though the princess is supposed to save the world from the evil force. Speaking of which, the evil force, it's this guy called, I forget his name, but it's like this evil entity. And, she's supposed to be fighting against him. I think she's supposed to be like the reincarnation of this like other force that fought him back in the day. I don't know. It's kind of a weird story. But basically, when you look up into the sky, there's this like giant hammer just hanging in the sky. And only certain people can see it. And that's where the Biscuit hammer part comes from the title. Because for whatever reason, it's called the Biscuit hammer. And in a certain amount of time, it's going to crush the earth, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, she's supposed to be like this virtue of good who's supposed to fight this evil and save the planet. But she reveals to the main character that she actually wants to destroy the world herself. So the only reason she's fighting to defend the earth is because basically she feels like she wants to like own the earth. And she feels that like, you can't own something if like when you die, it'll keep living without you. So because she wants to like own it that bad, she wants to save it from the bad guy so that then she can control the earth and like destroy it when she sees fit, which is like super weird. I don't know how that works. And for whatever reason, the main character who up until now had been like, no, I don't want to help, this and that, it's too risky. He kind of looks at the girl and he's kind of like, all right, I can respect that. I kind of want to destroy the world too. And so he teams up with her. And I don't know, it's just a really weird story so far. Like I said, I kind of just got into it. But yeah, basically he's training and I guess he can make like these weird orbs that have like this power. Like he can like, use it. Like if he steps on it, he can use it kind of like telekinesis style to like levitate. And I guess he can use it to like block attacks like a shield, all sorts of weird stuff. And the princess, she has powers where she's like really strong. And I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know the extent of their powers yet. I kind of just got into the story, but it's just this weird story of this girl who's supposed to be the good guy that wants to destroy the world for herself. And this guy that's just kind of like, yeah, all right, I'm down, It's hinted that it seems like he kind of has like a crush on her and that he kind of, I don't know, it seems like maybe he might have been like abused as a kid. So that might be why he's like really like bitter towards, the world around him. So, that might be part of why he wants to help her destroy it. I'm not too sure. But regardless, so far, it's a pretty interesting story. It's pretty wacky. I'm, pretty excited to see where this story goes because it's definitely really weird. And like I said, if anyone's interested in checking it out, it's called Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. In Japanese, it is called Hoshino Samidare because that's the girl's name, Samidare. And yeah, it's a weird story. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint me. But as of right now, I'm pretty interested to see where it goes because it's just really weird and I've heard good things about it. So there you go. Moving on, last week I mentioned that I started watching Dororo. I said I had watched the first 3 episodes, and so since last week I watched more episodes. I watched up to episode 9, and I think there's 10 episodes out, so I'm only missing 1 episode, but it continues to be pretty good, honestly. I like it. Actually, before that, let me jump back a little bit. Last week, because of technical difficulties, I had started talking about Dororo in my first recording, and I had given some of the backstory to it, but then because I had to record it like a second time, the second time around, I forgot to mention some things. So really quickly, some stuff that I forgot to mention last episode. So Dororo is a manga series actually created by the father/god of manga himself, Ozuma Tezuka, which if you guys don't know, he's basically considered like the Japanese equivalent of like Walt Disney because he made like so much popular manga for like everyone of all ages. Like he made Astro Boy, he made Princess Knight, Kimbo the White Lion, the one that Disney ripped off to make The Lion King, Kimbo the White Lion, Phoenix, Buddha, all sorts of stuff. He made stuff that was like for like younger audiences, stuff that was for more mature audiences, that sort of thing. So yeah, I can't believe I forgot to mention that last time. This, anime definitely comes from like a really prestigious place. And not only that, but originally back in 1969, I believe, there was actually another anime series. like the first one. And so I kind of forgot to mention that last time because, having looked into the history of it and having watched more episodes of it, I was going to say that it is really interesting how they've adapted it, I guess you can say. All right. So basically last time, I was saying that it's an anime about this guy and he was born with like no skin and no limbs and like a lot of his organs are missing, that sort of thing. And he basically starts journeying with this little kid named Dororo. And I guess every time that the main character, every time he slays a demon, he gets one of his like body parts back, which I think I also forgot to mention, my bad. But yeah, it's so interesting because like in the original manga and anime, it looks very like cartoony, which is kind of weird because like the subject matter is like really like mature. But yeah, this adaptation, what it does really well, I don't know, it really like ages it up, like it makes it look mature. They do things in an order where like it just feels like it flows a little better, gives more like emotional weight to stuff. They make some of the characters, they give them more backstory that they didn't really have before, that sort of thing. And I don't know, like I haven't watched the original, but I was looking into it, so I just want to throw that out there. It is interesting to see how similar to something like Megalobox, which is based on like a prior property, it's interesting to see them make it like more gritty, but it works, like it doesn't just feel gritty and like edgy for like the sake of it, like it actually is an improvement, so I just want to throw that out there. But getting back to what the show is like and like what it's about, I forgot to mention last time that I guess every time the main character defeats a demon, like he gets one of his body parts back. So basically like that's the purpose of the story, that he's traveling around with Dororo, kind of like a monster of the week sort of thing, where he's just traveling around, a problem will spring up, like there will be a village where say, in one of the episodes, like a cursed sword showed up. And this girl that they run into, she says that she's like waiting for her brother to come back from the war because he's been gone for like 5 years or whatever. And he shows up and he has that like cursed sword. And we learn that the sword basically like whoever like holds it, it kind of possesses them and forces them to like kill people. And so, basically the main character has to like fight this guy and take him down, that sort of thing. And it's really emotional because like the girl wants her brother to like lay down his weapons and just, I don't know, she wants her brother back, she misses him because he's been gone to the war. But at the same time, not only is he like possessed by that sword, but he's just dealt with like so much stuff during the war. He saw like such terrible things that he's kind of a changed person. So he can't really just go back to living the way he was before. And so you get like their backstory, they fight. And then, when the sword is it gets defeated or whatever, the main character gets one of his body parts back, that sort of thing. And so that's basically what each episode is, like even though there are some like arcs, like some arcs that are more than one episode, basically it's kind of like a monster of the week thing where they're traveling around, there's some sort of issue, you get the backstory of like the demon or like the people who are being affected by the demon, and then there's like a fight and we see the main character get like one of his limbs back, that sort of thing. And we also cut away to like his father who originally made the deal with the demons to like disfigure him. We get some of like his backstory and we see what he's up to. Like, you can tell that he kind of knows that like his son is still alive and he's like up to something, and I don't know, I really enjoy it, like I think it's really good. I think like the action's really good. I think that the story is really interesting. I think that each of like the different demons they run into and like the people that are affected by them, I think that's really cool, and I've enjoyed it. I really recommend it. I think it's really good. Like I said, it definitely comes from like a really prestigious place because it was made by like the godfather of manga, so like that's really cool. And yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd say check it out. I know that unfortunately it is kind of hard to watch because I believe it's on Amazon. I think that's like the only location you can watch it so far. But, if you can get your hands on it, by whatever means you decide to get your hands on it, I'd say check it out because I think it's a really good anime. And I'm definitely excited to watch more. I think it's definitely really good. And I honestly kind of regret that I didn't get into it sooner because I think it's a really cool, really enjoyable anime. Alright guys, and that's basically it for my week. Like I said, didn't really do too much, or at least not too much that I think is worth talking about, on the podcast, but hopefully, you guys either check out one of those manga that I mentioned, or Dororo, now that I gave a little bit more info, because honestly, out of the stuff I talked about, it may not have been much, but stuff that I'm definitely enjoying, so far, so I'd say check it out. With that being said, I guess we can transfer over to the news. And looking at my news stories, I gotta admit, none of them were too exciting. Nothing too big happened this week, but it is what it is. Hopefully, either way, the stories I chose to talk about, hopefully you guys get something out of them. So the first news story that I want to talk about is that this is probably the biggest one of the week. And it's honestly just kind of annoying because, I don't know, Japan just does things really weird. But as the title of the article states, Sega halts Judgment shipments and digital sales in Japan following actor Pierre Taki's arrest. So, like I said, this is just a weird story, because basically, I don't know how many of you know, but there's this game called Judgment that is by the same people who, make the Yakuza games, and I think it's even supposed to be, maybe a spin-off, I believe it's a spin-off that's set in, the same universe, I think, and compared to Yakuza, where you're supposed to be, part of, the Yakuza, and you're running around, and you're fighting people, and you're dealing with, the politics of, the criminal underworld, Judgment is supposed to be a game that has a similar style, but I believe it has to do with I think you're kind of more of, I don't know if you're a detective or you're a lawyer. I actually forgot to look it up, but I know it's more of the opposite. While Yakuza is about the criminal underworld, Judgment is supposed to be about the government side, about fighting crime. And anyway, the point is that game came out in Japan, I want to say in December at some point, they got it earlier than the rest of the world. And, the game came out and people were buying it, all that good stuff. And then earlier this week, apparently that actor, Pierre Taki, who was actually a voice actor for one of the characters in the game, he got arrested on suspicion of cocaine possession. And apparently when they checked him out, he didn't have the drugs on him. But when they did a urine test, he came out positive for cocaine use. And because of that, this is the part where Japan is just so weird with how they handle stuff. So it's a voluntary halt on shipments and digital sales of Judgment. They've taken down tweets regarding the game. And I know that he also voiced, I think it said Olaf in Kingdom Hearts 3. So they were also going to just replace him. They're just going to patch him out. They're going to put a different voice actor for his part, And that's where it gets so weird because Japan, apparently, I don't know, they just take drug use to an extreme where anyone who gets caught doing drugs, if they're a voice actor, an actor, that sort of thing, they basically just get blacklisted and they just erase all existence of this person from media. It's crazy. And I was reading that, that happened to some other actor where I think it was someone who voiced a character in Yakuza 4. They totally replaced his voice. And then there was some song that he worked on because I think he was part of a musical duo. They just totally I think it was a Studio Ghibli movie. And they just totally stopped all sales of that movie. And in future releases, they removed the song from the soundtrack, all sorts of crazy stuff. And I don't know, it's just so weird because I get punishing the guy because of what he did. But when they take it this extreme, I don't know, And it's weird too because I'm pretty sure he was already paid. So it's not he's really missing out. Yeah, maybe he misses out on future gigs. But I mean, he already got paid for this role probably. So it's not they're taking away his money. I mean, if anything, it feels they're just kind of, punishing consumers more than anything. Because anyone who wants to buy the game can't play it now. So I don't know. Weird story. I don't know. Like I said, I think that's kind of the biggest story so far. It definitely says, if you read to the bottom of the article, it says that they're trying to discuss the course of action regarding the Western release of Judgment, and that they don't really know the details for, either the Western release or what they're going to do with the Japanese release, when it'll be on shelves again. But I don't know. It's just a weird story. It's just strange. It's just, I don't know. I don't really know what to say. It's just such a weird story. Like I said, the way they handle things is just so weird, but I don't know. Hopefully, they do what they have to do, and hopefully people who are waiting on the game get to play it again. I know I wanted to play at some point, so hopefully, I get to play it sooner rather than later, but for the time being, if you guys are interested, read about it, in the link that I provided below. Let's move on. Moving on, this next news story, there's not too much information on it quite yet, but I still thought it was worth talking about it because of the game in question. So basically, as the title of the article states, Borderlands 3 reveal possibly teased by Gearbox for March 28 at PAX East 2019. Now, I don't know how many of you have played Borderlands before. I don't know how many of you are fans. Me personally, I've played the first game, the second game. I, played the Tales from the Borderland Telltale spin-off thing. And, from what I've played, I think it's fun. I think it's a pretty good shooter. I think that, the characters and the story is really over the top and it's it's out there. I think it's really entertaining. And, though I haven't played the games, I know there's some people who play a lot online. They totally dive into it. Even though I've never reached that level with the game, I still think it's a pretty cool series. And I had, been wondering when there would be a third game because it feels like it's been a while. And obviously, people who really are into the game, they've been waiting forever. They've been excited. And so according to like the article said, Gearbox, who's in charge of the game, they made it, they released a image on their Twitter recently. It's this highway sign. And it's done in the cell shaded style of Borderlands. And it says, March 28th, Boston, Massachusetts. And it says exit 3. And people feel like the reason that it's done in the Borderlands style and the reason that it references the 3 is because it's teasing the third game. So, that's kind of cool, I guess. And I don't know. That's basically all there is to the story. There's not really any indication that, the game will be revealed or anything. But if there's any of you out there who really love the series, there you go. Look forward to it. Hopefully within, a couple of weeks, we will know if there's another Borderlands game coming. So keep an eye out for that. This next news story is another little short story, but I just thought it was kind of I don't know, I thought it was a really funny story. It made me laugh. But basically, for anyone who doesn't know, I want to say it was earlier this week or maybe last week. This developer called 343 revealed that Halo, the Master Chief Collection, is going to be released on PC, And so a lot of people got excited. Because, I don't know, there's always PC gamers that feel kind of left out. They want to see games they love come to PC. And so, I don't know. I don't really know too much about Xbox. I don't really know too much about Halo. But I do know that people are really excited. And that led to this news story, which I thought was really funny. That basically over on Reddit, there was a user that said that they wanted to send 343 Industries pizza if they revealed the game. And after the game got, announced, apparently a bunch of people started saying the pizza. In fact, as the title states, fans have been gifting 343 entirely too much pizza. So, I don't know, I think it's funny. It says here that after nearly an hour and a half of constant pizza updates, this onslaught of pies prompted 343 community director Brian Gerard to tweet, "The Halo community is awesome. We're excited too. Please don't send any more pizzas to 343 Industries. The building receptionist isn't here, so it's getting logistically challenging, and we really don't want to see food go to waste." So, I don't know, I think it's a funny story. I think it's fun. I think that usually, you see so much negative stuff about fandoms. You always see fandoms bullying people, sending death threats, complaining, that sort of thing. So I think seeing something like this that's really positive, I just thought that was really nice, I just think it's really funny to imagine this studio just getting pizza after pizza after pizza because people are just so excited and want to thank them. So, like I said, it's just a fun story. Thought I'd share it with you guys. When I heard about it, it made me laugh. So, if you want to see more details, you can check out the story. But there you go. Moving away from games and more towards the movie side of things, this next news article is kind of a weird one. Don't really know what to think about it. But as the title states, Warner Brothers' Sesame Street and Tom and Jerry movies get 2021 release dates. So, yeah, apparently Sesame Street and Tom and Jerry are getting theatrical movie releases. Don't really know what to say. I don't know. On the one hand, it sounds worrying because you hear about all these reboots and all these projects that are trying to get, you know, I mean, like you hear about all these projects that maybe don't deserve movies, just getting movies, and it's really awkward, and sometimes the studios don't know how to handle them, that sort of thing. But I don't know, I mean, Tom and Jerry and Sesame Street have had movies before, you know? Like, I don't know if Sesame Street ever had a theatrical movie. I actually don't know the details about that, but I do know they've had movies before. And then I know Tom and Jerry did have a animated movie back in like the 90s, I want to say. It was one where they actually talked, which was like kind of different. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds weird. And like your first reaction is to kind of have like a knee-jerk reaction where you're like, oh no, they're going to ruin it. But like then again, I mean, these are properties that were pretty well established. They have had movies before. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they won't be too bad. I don't know. Reading through the article, it says that Sesame Street is going to be a live action musical. So, I mean, that seems pretty on par with the show. So, I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. And then it says that Tom and Jerry is going to be a live action animation hybrid, which that one does sound a little more worrying. I mean, just think of projects like Sonic the Hedgehog, which looks like it's going to be not too good based on what we've seen so far. So, I don't know. You know, I mean, maybe it'll be fine. I mean, like I said, these guys have had movies before, but then again, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see, right? I'm trying to see if there's any stars or anything that are attached to the project. Don't see anything quite yet. It says that there's a lot of people that they're kind of like considering, but it doesn't look like there's anybody planned. But I don't know. There you go. I mean, there's more movies coming out, so look forward to that, I guess. Moving on to this next news story, which actually also happens to be an adaptation sort of story. Apparently, according to the title of this article, Amazon's Lord of the Rings TV show set in Second Age, 3,000 years before movies. Now, when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I'll admit I don't know too much. Honestly, the extent of my knowledge of that universe is what I've seen in the movies, but from what I had heard, a while ago, I had heard that Amazon was going to make a TV show based on Lord of the Rings, and I had heard that some people were kind of worried that it was either going to like retread some of the like movie, story, or they were afraid that it was going to be placed like right before, so that even if they didn't really cover stuff from the movie, they would still show, like some of like the prequels type stuff that like some of the characters were up to, that sort of thing. And I know when it was that, people weren't too fond of the idea because, I don't know. The movies are pretty good. They're not that old. And I guess, kind of like with like the Han Solo movie, it's one of those things where people don't always want to see like prequel stuff. They don't always want to see what a character was doing like when they were younger, so people were kind of like iffy about it. But I guess they don't have to worry because as like the article talks about, it's basically set in an age before little, if any, of the characters that we see in the movies existed. Like it even says in the article, Gandalf, who lives for like 2,000 years. This is 3,000 years before the movie. So like probably he won't even be around. And I don't know. I guess that's a good thing. Like I said, I'm not really too sure. I don't really know anything about Lord of the Rings, but I guess that's kind of cool that, they're doing this. Because number one, I guess it's good for them to not do that weird prequel stuff of like, here's what the characters were doing before they were younger. That's kind of annoying. And not only that, but I think it's cool that they're going to show us a part of this universe that maybe a lot of people don't know about, Like I said, I don't know anything about Lord of the Rings besides what I've seen in the movies. So if you're telling me that there's like a bunch of stories to tell like in a time before that, then I think that's pretty cool, I respect that. I think it's cool that instead of taking the easy way out, they're going to actually like focus on their own story, Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't be, but if that sounds like it's something interesting to you, I guess check out the article, read more about it, and if it sounds like something that you want to watch, then look forward to it, I guess. Moving on, this next news story is one that doesn't have a lot of information quite yet. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, I feel like a lot of the stories are kind of like that, where they're just very casual. They're just, like little blips on the radar. But as the title of the article states, Psycho Pass franchise announces sequel. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Psycho Pass franchise. I mean, there was 2 seasons of the anime. There's been a few movies. I think there's been some video games. I mean, maybe even more. When it comes to the anime, I love the first season. I think it's great. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, if you've ever watched Minority Report, it's kind of like that, where it's like a, very scientific driven future where there's like this police force and they can scan people and kind of see like their predisposition for like crime. And so they try to stop them ahead of time so that they don't commit crimes. And I don't know, it's just like this really interesting story having to do with like technology and free will. And I don't know, it has all sorts of themes and it has all sorts of like crazy action and sci-fi stuff going on. Like I said, check it out. It's really good. When it comes to the second season, wasn't very good. It felt like it copied everything from like the first season, but it played it more safe. Like, I don't know, like the main villain was like a copy of like the first villain, but he didn't feel as threatening. So like that was really lame. There was like a new secondary protagonist that they were just really lame, really annoying. I mean, people didn't like them. And I don't know, there was just a lot of weird choices going from the first to the second season, all right? But I'm kind of ranting. The point is, Psycho Pass as a franchise, like the first season of the anime was really good. And I've heard that some of the other, media, it kind of ranges in quality. But regardless of that, they've announced a Psycho Pass Season 3. And there's not too much known about it yet. All we really have is 2 of the voice actor names. And we have an image that shows we're going to have like 2 new protagonists that haven't come out in the series before. But that's basically it, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested in checking it out. I'm hoping that it's better than season 2, but who knows, Because if we're not getting like all of the characters back, and if they're just trying to like, I don't know, really just copy the story that they've done before, I mean, it could just end up being a mess. I don't know. But I don't know. If any of you guys have ever watched Psycho Pass before, if you've enjoyed it, I don't know. I mean, there you go. Keep an eye out for this, I guess. I mean, it'll really be interesting to see what they do with it. But until we get more information, that's all there really is to say. There's going to be a season 3, but we don't know when, and we don't know any details. So there you go. Finally, moving on to the last news story. It's kind of funny because this last news story, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the meme, the one that says, like friendship ended with A, now B is my best friend. Honestly, if any of you remember not too long ago, I talked about a news story that said that, Crunchyroll and Funimation had broke up. Basically, they had a partnership where they were sharing licenses, but because of the relationship ending, there's stuff like My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan that got pulled off of Crunchyroll, and like vice versa. Some stuff that was on Funimation, I guess, got pulled off too. I mean, I don't really know, but basically I had been wondering why that had happened, and I think I might have my answer. As this news article states, Crunchyroll and Adult Swim announced Toonami programming partnership with distribution deal. So there you go. That might explain why they split ways. Or, to be fair, it could be that maybe after they broke up, this happened. But regardless, if you read the article, it says the companies are going to collaborate on licensed content, co-productions, and distribution opportunities. So when it comes to like Toonami, I guess what that means for them is that licenses that Crunchyroll have, they'll have access to them, much sooner. So people who want to watch, like the newest anime on Toonami, I guess they'll have that chance now. And I guess for Crunchyroll, that means that when Toonami does stuff like Fully Cooley, because like Adult Swim helped like make the new seasons of Fully Cooley, I guess that means that like when they do new stuff, Crunchyroll will have access to it, I guess. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much that affects many, anime watchers, because Toonami is like a cable thing, so I don't know how many people have cable, but regardless, I guess it's an interesting story. It'll be interesting to see where this partnership goes and what it leads to. But there you go. If you watch Toonami and you do feel kind of disappointed that you have to wait like a long time before getting new anime, I mean, this might help to get newer anime sooner. And if you're a Crunchyroll watcher, I don't know. I mean, I guess you'll just get more selection of anime, I guess. I don't know, but there you go. Alrighty guys, and with that being said, that brings us to the end of another news week. As always, hopefully there was something you guys found entertaining or informative or something you guys learned that was new. I don't know. As I had said at the beginning of the podcast, I feel like a lot of the news stories were really short and a lot of them are just like minor information. So kind of apologize for that. I'm sorry I couldn't really find anything else, but all the same, hopefully, like I said, there was something that you guys enjoyed from that. And with that being said, I guess it's time to move on to the final segment of the podcast, which is the content creator spotlight. Now, the content creator I want to talk about this week, unfortunately, he hasn't released anything like 2 months, so I'm hoping that he hasn't, given up on YouTube. But the content creator that I want to talk about is a content creator called RetroBanjo. And RetroBanjo is a pretty cool guy. Right now, he's sitting at 223 subscribers, and basically what he does is that he does Let's Plays on, all sorts of games. Like, he's done a Let's Play of Final Fantasy VI. He's done a Let's Play of Mad World, that old, Wii game. He's done a Let's Play of The Last of Us. He's done a Let's Play of Shovel Knight. This guy, he plays all sorts of stuff, I think it's awesome. I think he's really consistent. Basically, he releases videos, I think either once or twice a day. But regardless, I don't know. I think RetroBanjo is just a really cool guy. I think the way he plays through the games is really cool. I think he's a really genuine, down-to-earth guy. I think the games he plays are really interesting. And like I said, unfortunately, he hasn't released anything in a couple of months. I checked over on his Twitter, and it seems like he is active. So, hopefully he'll be back soon. But regardless, guys, I would say check RetroBanjo out. I'm hoping he comes back. But, until then, he has a backlog to check out. He has definitely a lot of games he's played. And so check him out, guys. I think honestly, if you guys maybe sub to him or check him out or give him some likes, hopefully, that encourages him, in case he's feeling down about his channel. But there you go. My content creator for this week is RetroBanjo, Let's Player that plays all sorts of games. Give him some love. Alrighty guys, and with that being said, that brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. I don't know. I hope that you guys got something out of it. I hope that you guys enjoyed the podcast, despite the lack of really meaty, informative articles. I don't know. Like I said, sorry that I couldn't get more articles that were more, I don't know, just more intriguing and more deep. But, it is what it is. It was just a slow news week. But regardless, hopefully you guys had a good time listening to episode 24. And I guess to wrap things up, my name has been Wannabe Reviewer. You guys can catch me here every week hosting the Wannabe podcast, which is now on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and iTunes. And not only can you catch me hosting the Wannabe podcast, but you guys can catch me over on Twitter at wannabe_review, where I do all sorts of retweets of stuff having to do with voice actors, video game news, memes, that sort of thing. I do, updates to my channel. I retweet all sorts of video game art, that sort of thing. So if you guys are interested, you can follow me over there. And not only that, but I also run a YouTube channel, Wannabe Reviewer, where every Wednesday, if possible, I try to do a review on some sort of media, whether it's an anime or a TV show, movie, video game, that sort of thing. Every week I try to do a short review where I discuss something that I, consumed, recently, and I give my opinion on it, both the good and bad, and whether I recommend it, that sort of thing. With that being said, I hope that all of you have a wonderful week. I hope that, next week I can be back with the Wannabe podcast once again. And I will definitely, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, try my best to put out that late video. All right. With that being said, my name is the Wannabe Reviewer, and I will catch you guys next time. It's for everyone.